In the far reaches of the galaxy there was a planet called Zyphora. It was a beautiful world, full of tall crystal trees and rivers that glowed with a soft blue light. The people of Zyphora were intelligent and skilled, but they had one problem. A dark, mysterious force from a neighboring star system was slowly moving toward their planet. The Ziphrans had no way to stop it. Their weapons were weak, their ships slow, and their leaders were unsure how to protect their world. The Ziphrans sent messages to every known civilization in the galaxy, asking for help. Many ignored their pleas, thinking it was not their problem. But one species responded: humans. Humans were considered ordinary by most aliens. They had no shiny crystal cities or advanced psychic powers. Their ships were small, their technology simple compared to galactic standards. But humans had something else: courage, creativity, and a memory that never forgot a favor or an injustice. A small human fleet appeared near Zyphora. The aliens watched them carefully, expecting the humans to leave or fail. But humans never acted like anyone expected. Instead of boasting or asking for reward, they offered to help immediately. The leader of the humans, Captain Alara, spoke to the Ziphran Council. "We cannot let your world fall," she said. Her voice was calm but firm. "Your people helped others in your time of need. Now it is our turn. Consider it a favor returned for all the favors you have given in the past, and for all you will give in the future." The Ziphrans were surprised. No one had ever spoken this way. Most alien civilizations only helped if there was something to gain. But humans seemed different. They did not demand anything in return. They only wanted to help. The humans quickly got to work. Their ships were small but highly maneuverable. They had a way of thinking differently, using strategies the Ziphrans could never imagine. Humans suggested using the natural magnetic storms of Zyphora to hide their fleet, then attacking the enemy from multiple directions at once. At first, the Ziphrans were skeptical. Could such primitive beings really make a difference? But soon they saw the humans' plan in action. The first battle happened near Zyphora's northern asteroid belt. The Dark Forces ships were large, armored, and deadly. Many alien observers thought the humans' fleet would be destroyed immediately. But humans were quick. They used the asteroid belt to shield themselves and launch sudden attacks. They were precise, daring, and unpredictable. One human pilot, Lieutenant Yarrick, made a move that stunned everyone. He flew his small fighter ship straight into the center of the enemy formation, drawing their attention while other humans attacked from behind. Within hours, the Dark Forces fleet was scattered and weakened. The Ziphrans watched in awe. "They are not the strongest," one elder whispered. "But their courage, their strategy, it is unlike anything we have seen." The humans did not stop there. They shared their technology and knowledge, teaching the Ziphrans how to improve their ships and defend their planet better. Humans also trained the Ziphran soldiers, showing them how to think creatively in battle instead of following rigid rules. Days passed and the Dark Force retreated. Zyphora was safe thanks to the humans. The people of Zyphora were overjoyed. They celebrated their new friends and offered gifts and honors, but the humans refused most of them. They only asked one thing: remember that we helped when you needed us. And if one day you can help us or anyone else, do it without hesitation. This simple favor, small in appearance but great in meaning, planted a seed in the galaxy. Humans had shown that even a species considered ordinary could make a huge difference with courage, cleverness, and loyalty. But not everyone was happy. The neighboring star systems, which had watched Zyphora's plight, were angered. They had assumed the Ziphrans would fail, leaving humans out of their calculations. They did not like seeing humans succeed where others had failed. Some whispered that humans should be watched, even feared. Meanwhile, the Ziphrans learned something important. Humans were not just fighters. They never forgot a favor. Those who were helped would always find humans returning the kindness in ways they could not imagine. And those who caused harm, humans would remember that too. Captain Alara and her crew left Zyphora after ensuring the planet was safe. The Ziphrans waved goodbye, feeling both gratitude and awe. They knew that humans were not just visitors. They were forces of nature, small yet capable of shaking worlds with their courage and loyalty. As humans left, a young Ziphran scout asked, "Will they come back if we need them again?" An elder replied, "If we are ever in trouble again, they will come." Humans never forget a favor. And when they return, the galaxy itself may shake under their resolve. The story of that day spread across Zyphora and neighboring systems. Some called it luck, some called it strategy, but those who knew humans understood the truth. Humans were extraordinary. They were small, unpredictable, and fearless. And most importantly, they never forgot those who had helped them, or those who had wronged them. This favor, given freely and without expectation, would mark the beginning of many more events that would shake not just Zyphora, but the galaxy itself. For now the stars were calm, Zyphora was safe, and humans sailed away, leaving only a promise behind. A promise that favors are never forgotten, and that when humans remember, entire worlds can be changed. After the humans left Zyphora, life slowly returned to normal for the Ziphrans. Their crystal forests shimmered under the twin suns, and the glowing rivers reflected the laughter of children. The dark threat had vanished, at least for now, and the planet seemed at peace. The Ziphran leaders held councils to plan for the future. They upgraded their defenses with the human-provided technology and trained their soldiers in new strategies. The planet was safer than ever, but something deeper lingered in the hearts of the Ziphrans. They had been saved not by luck or advanced powers, but by humans, an unpredictable species known for their courage and determination. Elder Kale, one of the wisest Ziphrans, spoke to the council. Humans are unlike any species we have met, he said. They do not ask for reward. They act out of principle. And they remember. That is what makes them dangerous and powerful. The word dangerous did not mean violent or cruel. It meant that humans were capable of remarkable feats when justice, loyalty, or a promise was at stake. They never forgot a kindness or a wrong. The Ziphrans had seen it firsthand. Life for ordinary Ziphrans continued. Farmers worked the glowing fields, children played along the crystal rivers, and scientists explored new ways to use the human technologies. Yet, in quiet moments, many Ziphrans whispered stories of the humans. They spoke of Captain Alara's calm courage, Lieutenant Jarek's daring maneuvers, and the fleet that had arrived like a storm of determination. Not all neighbors of Zyphora were pleased with what had happened. Some star systems who had watched from afar were annoyed that humans had interfered. They had expected the Ziphrans to fall and had calculated their strategies accordingly. But humans had changed the outcome without asking for anything in return. This sparked unease among other species. In the weeks after the battle, Ziphrans began noticing subtle changes in their society. Humans had not just saved the planet, they had inspired it. Soldiers who were once timid learned to think boldly. Scientists experimented with new methods they had previously ignored. Leaders began making decisions based not just on rules, but on ingenuity and courage. Humans had left a mark that would last far longer than their presence. Meanwhile, rumors of humans spread to distant systems. Traders and travelers spoke of the small species with enormous influence. They said humans could turn the tide of battle with ideas, courage, and teamwork rather than sheer power. Many laughed at the tales, calling them exaggerated stories, but those who had witnessed it knew the truth. Humans were unpredictable, loyal, and unforgettable. Back on Zyphora, Elder Kale met with a young scout named Lyra. She had watched the battle from a distance, hidden in the forests, and she had seen the humans in action. They are not like us, Lyra said, her eyes wide. They are ordinary, yet they did the impossible. Kale nodded. That is the way of humans. They are small, they are fragile, but they never forget a favor. And sometimes, when they remember, the galaxy itself trembles. Lyra shivered at his words. She had not fully understood the meaning before. Humans had saved their world, but their impact went deeper. They had given the Ziphrans a gift far greater than weapons or tactics. They had given them hope, courage, and a model of honor that was unlike anything Zyphora had seen before. Days turned into weeks, and Zyphora's life seemed peaceful. But the council was aware that threats could return at any moment. Messages from neighboring systems reported unusual movements, hinting at growing tensions. Yet the Ziphrans were not afraid, not entirely. They had humans as an example, a reminder that courage, loyalty, and cleverness could overcome even the darkest forces. Elder Kale often walked along the rivers at dusk, reflecting on the humans' visit. The light from the twin suns danced on the water, and the forest seemed to whisper their gratitude. Kale understood something vital. Humans never acted for reward, but when they remembered, they could change the fate of worlds. As Ziphrans worked to strengthen their society, small hints of human influence appeared everywhere. Soldiers trained differently, thinking creatively. Scientists experimented boldly. Children asked questions about courage, honor, and memory. Even artists began painting scenes of humans, capturing their bravery and spirit in glowing murals. Humans had inspired not just action but culture itself. Yet, Kale remained cautious. We must respect the humans' ways, he told the council. They are not predictable. They do not act for profit or glory. If we ever cross them or if we forget their aid, we may find that their memory is long, and their payback is something no one can ignore. It was not a threat exactly. Humans were not cruel. But they were relentless in their sense of justice. Those who helped humans could rely on their loyalty. Those who harmed humans, or their friends, could expect consequences in ways they might never anticipate. Across Zyphora, the story of the humans became legend. Elders told children about the day humans arrived, the day courage and honor turned the tide of battle. Traders shared the tale across star systems, warning others not to underestimate this small but extraordinary species. Humans had changed Zyphora not just physically but in spirit. For now the galaxy seemed calm, but subtle tensions were rising. The neighboring systems were uneasy, and whispers of human influence reached distant worlds. Humans had acted once, and their presence had left a ripple that would continue to grow. In quiet moments, Ziphrans often looked to the stars, wondering when, or if humans might return. They knew that if trouble ever came again, humans would not hesitate. They had seen it firsthand. Humans never forgot a favor. And when humans remembered, it could change the fate of planets, civilizations, even the galaxy itself. As the twin suns set over Zyphora, Elder Kale gazed at the horizon. "We were fortunate," he said softly. "But one day the galaxy will learn what we already know. Humans are not ordinary. They are extraordinary. They never forget, and when they return, even the strongest will tremble." And with that, life on Zyphora continued, forever marked by the courage, loyalty, and unforgettable presence of humanity. The galaxy had always been a place of wonder but also of danger. Stars burned brightly, planets spun in silence, and civilizations rose and fell across the endless void. While Zyphora enjoyed peace, the shadows of distant systems were stirring. The neighboring star systems, who had watched Zyphora's salvation by humans, were uneasy. Pride and fear often walked hand in hand, and these civilizations had both in abundance. They had expected Zyphora to fail, and humans to leave without consequence. Instead, humans had arrived, acted with brilliance, and vanished again, leaving only gratitude and a quiet warning: humans never forget. Among the rival systems, the Tarkhan collective grew restless. They were a militaristic race, proud and unforgiving, and the humans' interference had humiliated them. Their leaders gathered in the obsidian towers of their capital planet, voices echoing in the halls. "The humans have changed everything," said Commander Varek, slamming a clawed hand onto the table. "Zyphora is safe because of them. They are small, weak by all measures, yet they managed what we could not. They cannot be ignored." Other Tarkhan leaders murmured in agreement. "We must act before humans intervene again," another said. "If they return, we cannot allow them to upset our plans a second time." Meanwhile, life on Zyphora seemed calm. The planet had rebuilt, and its people thrived under the guidance of human-inspired strategies. Yet, whispers of distant unrest reached their ears. Traders and scouts reported unusual fleet movements in neighboring systems. The Ziphrans watched the news with unease, but also hope, knowing that humans had taught them how to face challenges creatively and courageously. On Zyphora, a young scout named Lyra often patrolled the borders, curious about the distant stars. She had witnessed the humans' brilliance firsthand and carried stories of their courage in her heart. "Do you think they will return?" she asked Elder Kale one evening, looking at the swirling stars above. Kale stroked his chin, his eyes reflecting the distant lights. "If trouble comes," he said slowly, "humans will appear. They never forget a favor. And they never ignore injustice. When humans remember, they do not act lightly, they act fully. Be ready, Lyra. The galaxy may tremble because of them." Far away in the shadowed regions of the galaxy, the Tarkhan fleets moved with precision. They had studied the human strategies through intercepted reports and spies. Every maneuver, every daring tactic, and every human ship design had been catalogued. Tarkhan engineers and commanders worked tirelessly, preparing for the day they could challenge humans, or perhaps strike Zyphora before humans returned. Yet even with all their preparation, Tarkhan leaders felt unease. Humans were unpredictable. They did not follow rules, they did not act for glory, and their creativity often turned weakness into strength. Many Tarkans whispered in fear about the humans' memory. "If humans remember this slight," they said quietly, "no system will be safe from them. Not even Tarkhan." Back on Zyphora, Lyra and her fellow scouts noticed small signs of disturbance in the skies. Unfamiliar ships moved along the borders of their sector. They were fast, silent, and organized. Lyra reported to the council, and the elders quickly realized that the galaxy's calm was temporary. "Prepare our defenses," Kale instructed. "We cannot fight alone, but we can use what humans taught us. If humans appear, we must support them. And if they do not, we must survive as best we can." Days turned into weeks and the unrest grew. Traders fleeing Tarkin-controlled regions brought news of increasing aggression and intimidation. Some planets had already fallen under Tarkhan rule, and whispers of war spread. The galaxy seemed on the edge of chaos. Yet amid the rising tension, the Ziphrans felt a strange comfort. They remembered the humans' courage, their loyalty, and the promise they had left behind. Ziphrans had seen what humans could do, not just fight but inspire. And now, as trouble brewed in the stars, that inspiration would be their greatest strength. On the Tarkhan homeworld, Commander Varek stared at the star charts. "We will strike first," he said, determination in his voice. "But we must be ready for humans. If they intervene, if they come, we must not fail." Unbeknownst to both Tarkhan and Zyphora, a small human reconnaissance fleet was already moving quietly through the distant sectors. They were not yet intervening, but their sensors detected the rising tension. Captain Alara, still leading her crew, reviewed the reports with a calm determination. "They are restless," she said, pointing at the holographic display of the galaxy. "The Tarkhan collective underestimates us. But it is good. They should feel unease. Soon they will see what it means when humans remember a favor." Her crew nodded, ready as ever. Humans did not act out of pride or ambition, but they never forgot kindness or injustice. The galaxy would soon learn that when humans intervened, the consequences could shake worlds, civilizations, and entire star systems. Back on Zyphora, Lyra looked up at the stars each night, sensing that something was coming. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Humans had shown the Ziphrans what was possible, and now, with shadows rising in the distance, she understood that the lessons they had learned would soon be tested. The galaxy was moving toward a turning point. The Tarkhan fleets were preparing their strike. The Ziphrans were building their defenses. And somewhere in the depths of space, humans were watching, waiting for the moment when they would act, not for glory but for justice and for the favors remembered. And as the stars twinkled coldly in the void, a single truth echoed through the minds of those who knew humans: they never forget a favor, and when they return, the galaxy will tremble. The galaxy was restless. The Tarkhan collective, proud and ruthless, was preparing its first strike against Zyphora and nearby peaceful worlds. Fleets moved silently through the void, weapons primed, plans detailed. They believed no one could stop them. Yet, somewhere far away, humans were already watching. Captain Alara and her crew had received reports of rising tension, unusual fleet movements, and whispered threats from the Tarkhan systems. They had predicted this. Humans never acted without reason, but they also never forgot a favor, or the looming threat of injustice. "Captain," said Lieutenant Yarrick, studying the holographic star map, "the Tarkans are mobilizing. They plan to strike Zyphora soon." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time," she said calmly. "We've waited long enough. Humanity doesn't forget those who helped us, and we don't let injustice go unanswered. Set a course for Zyphora. Quietly. Let them see us when it matters most." Meanwhile, on Zyphora, the people were unaware that help was coming again. Scouts had reported unusual signals, but they could not be certain. The council debated what to do if the Tarkhan fleets arrived. Elder Kale reminded them of the humans' promise. "They will come," he said. "Humans never forget. They will act, but only when it is needed. Until then, we prepare." The first sign of humans' return was subtle. Small ships, invisible to most sensors, moved near the edges of Tarkhan territory. Tarkhan commanders noticed them too late, misjudging their speed and strategy. Humans did not attack immediately. Instead, they observed, calculated, and waited for the perfect moment. When the Tarkhan fleet finally advanced toward Zyphora, expecting an easy victory, the humans revealed themselves. They appeared like a sudden storm, swift and precise. Small, agile ships moved around the Tarkhan forces, cutting communication lines and disabling key systems. The Tarkhan commanders were stunned. "Impossible," Varek shouted. "How can such small ships, these humans, hold such power?" Humans did not boast or shout. They acted. Lieutenant Yarrick led a daring maneuver, taking advantage of Tarkhan overconfidence. Human fighters darted through the enemy fleet, striking at critical points. Ziphren ships, guided by humans' advice and training, followed their lead, coordinating attacks in ways the Tarkans could not anticipate. On Zyphora, Lyra and other scouts watched in amazement. "They're back," she whispered. "They came for us, just like they promised." Elder Kale nodded solemnly. "Not just for us," he said. "They are here for justice. They remember. And when humans remember, they do not fail." The battle escalated quickly. Humans demonstrated extraordinary tactics, using the Tarkans' own formations against them. Shields were bypassed, engines disrupted and fleets scattered. Ziphrans, who had once relied on humans' guidance, now fought with newfound confidence. They realized that humans had not just saved their world once, they had taught them to fight, to think and to survive. Captain Alara and her crew focused on the Tarkhan leadership vessels. Their goal was not destruction for its own sake, but to neutralize the threat quickly and efficiently. They moved with precision, striking critical systems and forcing Tarkhan commanders to retreat. The Tarkhan collective, once confident of victory, now faced a reality they had never imagined. Humans were not just fighters, they were unpredictable, clever, and relentless. And the memory of favors remembered made them unstoppable. After hours of maneuvering and strategy, the Tarkhan fleet began to retreat. Humans did not chase them aggressively, they simply ensured that Tarkhan forces could not regroup for a second strike. Zyphora was safe, and the neighboring systems had witnessed humans' return. In the aftermath, Ziphrans celebrated quietly. The humans did not stay to take glory. They offered no praise or reward. Captain Alara met with Elder Kale and spoke briefly. "Your world is safe," she said. "We acted because we remember the favor you gave. One day if the galaxy calls, humans will be ready again. But for now the stars are yours." Kale bowed, humbled. "You honor us and yet you demand nothing. How can a species be so remarkable?" Alara smiled faintly. "Remarkable is not the word. Humans are persistent, loyal. We never forget. That is what makes us what we are." As humans departed again, the galaxy began to understand their presence was not temporary. Their influence, courage, and memory were forces that even the strongest civilizations could not ignore. Tales of their return spread quickly, inspiring some and terrifying others. Lyra stood on a hill overlooking Zyphora's glowing forests, watching the stars fade as human ships disappeared into the void. She understood something important. Humans were not ordinary. They did not act for fame, wealth, or power. They acted because they remembered. And when they remembered, they could change the fate of worlds. Elder Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "Remember this," he said. "The humans are back. They came for a favor remembered. And the galaxy will never be the same again." In distant systems, whispers spread. Traders, scientists, and leaders shared the same warning. Humans had returned and they were a force unlike any other. They were small but capable of immense impact. They were ordinary in appearance, yet extraordinary in spirit. And most importantly, they never forgot a favor, and when they did, the consequences could shake the galaxy itself. The stars above Zyphora shone as they always had, but now they bore witness to something new. A galaxy where humans were no longer just a species, they were a legend in motion. And somewhere, far beyond Zyphora, Captain Alara and her crew sailed through the void, ready for the next call, the next favor to remember, and the next challenge that awaited humanity's unmatched courage and loyalty. The Tarkhan fleet had been driven back, but the galaxy was far from peaceful. News of the humans' return spread like wildfire. Across star systems, whispers told of a species that was small, ordinary in appearance, yet capable of turning the tide of war and shaking even the proudest civilizations. Humans had returned, and with them came a reminder: they never forgot a favor or an injustice. On Zyphora, the people celebrated quietly. Their world was safe, thanks to the humans, but they also began to understand a deeper truth. Humans did not act recklessly or for glory. Their interventions were precise, measured, and always purposeful. Every move was deliberate, every action tied to memory and principle. Captain Alara gathered her crew aboard the flagship Resolute. "We've shown the Tarkans what it means to underestimate us," she said. "But this is just the beginning. They will remember. Others will notice. Our role is not to seek war, but to uphold justice, repay favors, and correct wrongs where they occur." Lieutenant Yarrick nodded. "We don't act for recognition," he said. "We act because we remember." Alara smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans are remembered not for power, but for loyalty, courage, and integrity. That is why we are feared, respected, and, sometimes misunderstood." Meanwhile, the Tarkhan collective regrouped in secret. Their commanders studied reports, analyzing every detail of the humans' tactics. They realized that brute force alone could not defeat humans. Humans had strategy, cunning, and, above all, memory. Every favor repaid, every injustice corrected, became a part of a long, unyielding pattern. Tarkhan leaders began to whisper nervously. "If humans remember, if they act, our entire fleet may fall." Far from Tarkhan, the Ziphrans learned more about humans' ways. Elder Kale explained to young Lyra, "Humans repay favors not just with gifts or aid, but with actions that change outcomes. When they help, it is precise, effective, and permanent. When they respond to wrongs, they do so with subtlety and power. Never doubt that humans remember. That memory is their strength. Lyra thought about the first battle, the humans' sudden arrival, their clever strategies, and their ability to inspire Zifran soldiers. She understood something essential: humans did not act out of anger or pride. They acted with purpose. They remembered the kindness shown to them, and they would repay it in ways that no one could anticipate. Across the galaxy, humans had quietly taken note of all interactions: favors given, threats made, alliances formed, and injustices committed. Some systems had helped humans in small ways, trading information, saving a ship, or warning them of danger. Others had attempted to deceive, steal, or harm humans. All were recorded, not in books or databases, but in the careful attention and planning of humanity itself. Payback is not revenge, Captain Alara explained to her crew. It is balance. When someone aids us or others, we repay it. When someone threatens or harms us or others, we respond, not recklessly but decisively. Our memory ensures that favors and injustices are never ignored. On Zyphora, this lesson became clear in subtle ways. Human-inspired strategies and teachings began to influence more than just soldiers. Leaders made decisions with foresight, scientists experimented boldly, and citizens acted with courage and integrity. Humans had shown them that memory, of good deeds and wrongs, was a powerful force. The Tarkhan Collective, on the other hand, experienced fear growing in their ranks. Their previous arrogance had led to failure, and they could not understand humans' unique approach. They are not like other species, Varric muttered to his commanders. They do not forget. They do not forgive carelessly. One day, if we provoke them, or fail to honor them, we will feel the full weight of their memory. Humans did not seek vengeance, but they acted when necessary. A single act of repayment could alter the balance of a conflict, save a planet, or inspire countless others. And every action, no matter how small, left ripples across the galaxy. Those who had helped humans found allies in unexpected places. Those who had wronged humans felt consequences that seemed sudden and unstoppable. Captain Alara reflected on past missions. There had been times when a simple act of kindness, saving a stranded ship, offering aid to a civilization, had later returned in ways that changed entire star systems. The humans' approach was not simple reward or punishment. It was memory made manifest, a force that reshaped reality itself. As Zyphora rebuilt and strengthened, Elder Kale addressed the council. The humans' return was not just about battle. It was about lessons. They have shown us how courage, loyalty, and memory can change the outcome of events. They have taught us that when favors are remembered and injustices are addressed, even the smallest species can leave a lasting mark on the galaxy. Lyra, standing beside Kale, thought of the human ships slicing through the Tarkhan fleet, their calm precision, and their unwavering determination. She understood that humans were not just warriors, they were guardians of balance. Their memory, their courage, and their sense of justice were as potent as any weapon. As the stars glimmered in the endless void, the galaxy slowly realized a profound truth: humans were not ordinary. They did not seek glory or domination. They acted for principle, guided by memory. And when humans remembered a favor, or a wrong, the consequences could change worlds, shift alliances, and redefine entire civilizations. The lesson spread quietly but powerfully: do not underestimate humans. Aid them and their loyalty will become your strength. Threaten them or betray them, and their response will be swift, precise, and unforgettable. Humans' memory was their greatest power, and their understanding of payback was unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. For Zyphora, the lesson was clear. The humans had returned once and they could return again. They had shown that courage, ingenuity, and integrity could defeat even overwhelming odds. And they had shown that humans never forget a favor, and when they remember, the galaxy itself can change. Captain Alara and her crew moved silently through the stars, ready for whatever the galaxy would present next. They did not act for recognition, reward, or fear. They acted because memory demanded it. And in doing so, they became legends, guardians, teachers, and a force that could shake worlds with nothing more than courage, loyalty, and the power of remembering. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Word of humans' return had spread far beyond Zyphora and the Tarkhan Collective. Across star systems, civilizations watched closely, both in awe and in fear. The small species that had once seemed ordinary had shown the galaxy that courage, memory, and loyalty could shift the balance of power. And now humans were acting, not recklessly but deliberately, reshaping the stars. On Zyphora, Elder Kale watched the skies with a mixture of pride and apprehension. They are changing more than just battles, he said to Lyra. The human's presence influences decisions, alliances, and strategies. Entire civilizations are thinking differently because of them. Indeed, the galaxy was beginning to reorganize itself. Systems that had once acted independently now sought alliances, hoping to earn humanity's respect or avoid their ire. Traders, diplomats, and even spies spread stories of humans' precision and courage. Favors granted to humans were repaid with loyalty and protection. Those who had underestimated them now feared the consequences. Captain Alara's fleet moved like a shadow across the stars. Humans did not strike indiscriminately. They did not conquer. They acted only where memory demanded action, where kindness needed to be repaid or injustice needed correction. And their influence rippled outward. The Tarkhan collective, still recovering from their defeat near Zyphora, felt the full weight of this shakeup. Their leaders realized that humans were not a single fleet or force. They were a philosophy, a way of thinking and acting that transformed allies and enemies alike. Every move humans made changed expectations. Every favor repaid, every threat addressed, altered the galaxy's balance. On the Tarkhan homeworld, Commander Varric paced in the dark council hall. "We cannot fight humans as we fight others," he said, frustration and fear in his voice. "They are not predictable. They are not motivated by power or greed. They act with memory, and their memory shapes everything they touch. We underestimated them, and it nearly cost us everything." Meanwhile, humans coordinated quietly with Zyphora and other systems that had shown loyalty or courage. They shared strategies, technology, and guidance, teaching allies how to defend themselves, organize fleets, and act with ingenuity. Human influence spread like a quiet, unstoppable wave. Those who had helped humans in the past now benefited in ways they had never imagined: safety, prosperity, and new alliances. Yet humans also reminded the galaxy of consequences. Systems that had opposed them or harmed their allies began to experience setbacks. Trade routes were disrupted, fleets were blocked, and plans of aggression were foiled in subtle, clever ways. Humans did not act out of malice. They acted with precision, guided by their unyielding memory. The galaxy learned a harsh truth: if humans remembered, no one could ignore the results. Back on Zyphora, Lyra studied the stars with awe. "They are everywhere," she said to Elder Kale. "Every system, every fleet, every planet, humans are influencing them even without being here." Kale nodded. "That is their power," he said. "Not strength alone, not numbers, not technology, memory and principle. Humans never forget a favor, and when they remember, they change worlds. The shakeup is only beginning." Indeed, across the galaxy, alliances shifted. Systems that had once competed for dominance now cooperated, seeking the favor or approval of humans. Others, wary of human memory, avoided conflict or deception. Trade routes were rerouted, new treaties signed, and entire fleets reorganized. Humans had reshaped political and military landscapes without a single act of conquest. Captain Alara monitored the unfolding events with her crew. "Our goal is not to dominate," she said. "It is to uphold balance, repay kindness, and address injustice." Yet the very act of remembering and acting shifts the galaxy. We are not rulers but catalysts. Lieutenant Yarrick leaned over the star map, observing the ripple effect of their actions. "It's incredible," he said. "We didn't attack every fleet, we didn't take every planet, yet civilizations are reorganizing themselves because of what humans do. Just by remembering and acting." Alara smiled faintly. "That is what makes humans extraordinary," she said. "Not size, not weapons, not raw power. Memory, courage, and loyalty. That is enough to shake worlds." In distant systems, ambassadors and leaders began speaking in hushed tones about humanity. "They are small yet unstoppable," one whispered. "They repay kindness and punish injustice. Their memory is longer than time, and their actions more precise than any fleet or weapon." On Zyphora, celebrations of survival and victory mixed with contemplation of the wider galaxy. Humans had returned not just to defend them but to set a precedent, a lesson that honor, courage, and memory mattered more than brute force or arrogance. And somewhere deep in the void, humans sailed onward. They acted quietly, deliberately, and always with memory guiding them. Each favor repaid, each injustice corrected, each alliance strengthened. Humanity was reshaping the galaxy one careful action at a time. The shakeup was not chaos. It was order built on principle. The galaxy had been reminded that humans were not ordinary, that memory was their greatest weapon, and that when they acted, even the strongest powers would tremble. As Elder Kale watched the stars shimmer over Zyphora, he spoke softly to Lyra. Remember this, young one. The galaxy is changing because of humans. Not because they seek power but because they remember. And when humans remember, entire worlds, and entire civilizations, must change. And so, the galaxy entered a new era. An era where courage, memory and principle mattered as much as fleets and weapons. Humans were no longer merely participants. They were forces of balance, catalysts for change and legends in motion. The stars above Zyphora glimmered with the promise of the future. A future shaped by humans who never forgot, never ignored, and whose actions could shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The galaxy had changed. Fleets had moved, alliances had shifted, and civilizations had learned a lesson that would echo for generations. Humans were not ordinary. They were small in number, unassuming in appearance, but extraordinary in spirit. Their courage, ingenuity, and unyielding memory had altered the balance of power across countless star systems. On Zyphora, life had returned to a new rhythm. The crystal forests shimmered under the twin suns, and the glowing rivers reflected not just light, but hope. The Ziphrans, once naive and untested, had become stronger and wiser. They had learned from humans that courage could overcome fear, ingenuity could defeat power, and loyalty could outlast time. Lyra, now older and wiser, walked through the vibrant cities that humans had indirectly inspired. She remembered the first day the humans arrived, their calm determination, their brilliance in battle, their refusal to seek reward, and their promise. Humans never forgot a favor. That lesson had remained with her, shaping every choice she made. "Do you think they will return?" she asked Elder Kale as they watched ships moving through the sky. Kale smiled gently. "If the galaxy calls, they will come," he said. "Humans do not act recklessly. They do not act for glory. But they never forget a favor, and when they do, the consequences are extraordinary. We have seen it ourselves." Far beyond Zyphora, the humans' influence continued to spread. They did not conquer or dominate. They acted where memory demanded. Civilizations that had helped humans were rewarded with alliances, protection, and shared knowledge. Civilizations that had caused harm, or sought to deceive, found themselves facing precise, clever responses that reshaped their strategies and forced them to reconsider their actions. Captain Alara stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing at the stars. "The galaxy is learning," she said softly. "It is learning that humans are not just a species, they are a principle. We remember, we repay, we act. And when humans act, the ripple spreads far beyond what anyone can predict." Lieutenant Yarrick nodded. "We are not heroes in the traditional sense," he said. "We are guardians of balance, driven by memory and justice." Alara smiled. "Exactly. That is what makes humans remarkable. Not strength. Not numbers. Not advanced technology. Memory. Courage. Loyalty. That is enough to change the fate of worlds." Across the galaxy, tales of humans spread. Some called them legends. Others whispered warnings. Some systems sought alliances, hoping to earn human trust. Others acted cautiously, afraid of crossing a species that never forgot, never ignored, and never faltered when duty called. The Tarkhan Collective, humbled by past encounters, rebuilt their fleets more carefully, wary of human influence. Their leaders learned that brute force was useless against a species guided by principle. They realized that humans' greatest weapon was their memory, their sense of honor, and their strategic brilliance. On Zyphora, Lyra now taught younger scouts the lessons humans had left behind. "Remember what you learned from humans," she told them. "Courage is as important as strength. Ingenuity is as important as numbers. And above all, loyalty and memory shape the future. Never forget what is right and never forget those who helped you. Humans will always be a reminder of that." Elder Kale watched her with pride. "The human's legacy is more than battles won," he said. "It is the wisdom they leave behind, the inspiration they provide, and the example of how memory can shape destiny." In distant star systems, humans continued to move quietly, observing, waiting, and acting only where necessary. They returned favors with precision, corrected injustices with ingenuity, and left behind legacies that altered civilizations without direct interference. The galaxy learned that humans were not conquerors but catalysts for change. And so, the galaxy entered a new era. An era where courage, principle, and memory mattered more than weapons or fleets. An era where humans, small but extraordinary, became a legend that spanned the stars. Captain Alara looked out at the endless void, thinking of Zyphora, the Tarkans, and countless other worlds she had encountered. "We do not need to rule," she said to her crew. "We only need to act when the memory calls. That is all humanity ever has, and all humanity ever needs. Her crew nodded in silent agreement. They understood that their role was not to dominate, but to ensure that kindness, loyalty, and justice were never forgotten. The galaxy, for all its vastness and complexity, had learned a single, undeniable truth. Humans never forget a favor, and when they remember, they have the power to change worlds. Back on Zyphora, as twin suns set over the horizon, Lyra and Elder Kale stood together, looking at the stars. "They are more than just visitors," Lyra said softly. "They are a force, a memory, a promise." Kale nodded. "Yes. And that promise will shape the future. Generations will remember not just the humans but what humans taught us. Courage matters, loyalty matters, and memory can move the very stars themselves." And somewhere, far beyond the reaches of Zyphora, Captain Alara and her crew sailed onward, ready to repay the next favor, correct the next injustice, and continue the legacy of humanity. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humans had returned, and their story, their principle, and their memory would echo across the stars forever. The legacy of humans was complete, not in conquest, not in power, but in courage, loyalty, and the unyielding memory that could shake worlds.